Afghanistan sits where empires go to fracture, not because the land is unconquerable, though it resists conquest reliably, but because geography here operates as active force. Mountains don't just occupy space, they dictate terms. Valleys don't simply exist between peaks. They isolate, protect, define identity. This is not the Afghanistan of headlines. This is the one underneath, the physical reality that persists regardless of who claims authority.
So if you want more journeys into the unforgiving, the beautiful, and the unknown, subscribe. Hit that button and join us as we explore the places that don't fit on postcards.
If you're finding value in this exploration, subscribe now. We're going places few cameras reach. The country is landlocked, centered in Asia, touching 6 nations. Pakistan to the south and east, Iran to the west, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan to the north, China barely, a thin corridor extending to the Wakhan in the northeast. Each border represents not just political line, but transition between worlds. Afghanistan is mostly mountains. The Hindu Kush range dominates, running northeast to southwest like a spine. Peaks exceed 7,000 meters. Valleys cut between them, some fertile, some barren, all isolated. The name Hindu Kush translates roughly as Hindu killer, a reference to the brutal conditions faced by travelers crossing these passes in centuries past. Caravans lost members to cold, altitude, avalanches. The mountains extracted their toll from every army, every merchant train, every group of pilgrims who attempted passage. They still do. This terrain has consequences that echo through centuries. No central authority has ever controlled Afghanistan completely, not because governance is refused ideologically, but because geography makes comprehensive control logistically impossible. Valleys are separated by passes that close in winter. Communities exist weeks away from any capital. Authority dilutes with distance. The result is fragmentation. Not chaos. Order exists locally, intensely. But national unity is aspiration more than reality. Afghanistan is a collection of regions that share name more than nature. Start in the northeast, in Wakhan Corridor. This narrow strip of land extends eastward, wedged between Tajikistan and Pakistan, reaching toward China. It exists because of 19th century imperial politics, a buffer zone between Russian and British empires. The width is sometimes only 15 kilometers. It stretches nearly 350 kilometers long. Wakhan is high altitude, much of it above 4,000 meters. The land is stark. Mountains rise on both sides. Vegetation is sparse. Population is minimal. Wakhi and Kyrgyz people inhabit the corridor, herding yaks and sheep, living in conditions that have not changed substantially in generations. The Kyrgyz here are especially isolated. They live in yurts made of felt, structures that can be assembled and disassembled as they move with their herds. Their existence is one of the most remote human settlements on Earth. No roads reach them. Supplies arrive by donkey or yak. Medical care is non-existent. A broken bone can mean permanent disability. A difficult childbirth can mean death. Winter here is brutal. Temperatures plunge far below freezing. Snow closes passes for months. Communities are cut off entirely. Supplies must last. Medical emergencies have no solution. You endure or you don't. But summer transforms the landscape briefly. Grasslands green. Wildflowers appear. Herds are moved to higher pastures. The rhythm is transhumance. Seasonal migration following resources. Marco Polo sheep inhabit these mountains. Wild sheep with curved horns that can span nearly 2 meters. They are named for the traveler who documented them, though local people knew them long before any European arrived. The sheep are elusive, adapted to high altitude, to thin air, to sparse vegetation. Tourism is nearly non-existent in Wakhan. Access is difficult. Permits are required. Infrastructure is absent. Those who come are trekkers, mountaineers, travelers seeking remoteness as destination itself. The corridor offers something rare, isolation that is geographic, not constructed. You are distant from everything here not by choice alone, but by terrain. Phones don't work. Internet doesn't reach. You are temporarily outside the network. Move southwest into Badakhshan. This province occupies the northeast, mountainous and remote. Lapis lazuli has been mined here for 6,000 years. The deep blue stone, flecked with gold pyrite, was traded across ancient world. Egyptian pharaohs wore it. Renaissance painters ground it into ultramarine pigment. The source was always Badakhshan. The mines themselves are dangerous enterprises. Shafts extend horizontally into mountainsides, supported by wooden beams that rot over time. Collapses happen. Men dig with picks in darkness lit by headlamps or candles. When they find a vein of quality lapis, they follow it deeper, sometimes for weeks, sleeping the tunnels, eating food brought from villages below. The work is exhausting, risky, poorly compensated. But for many, it is only available income. The stone, when extracted, is rough, unremarkable to untrained eyes. Only when cut and polished does the deep blue emerge fully. Traders know quality by eye, by weight, by the distribution of pyrite inclusions. A piece with uniform color and minimal calcite veining commands higher prices. The best stones go to international markets. Lesser quality stays local, sold in bazaars to tourists who still occasionally arrive. Mines still operate, carved into mountainsides, tunnels extending into rock. Work is manual, dangerous. Miners use hand tools, explosives, rudimentary equipment. Lapis seams are found, followed, extracted. The stone is sold to traders who move it toward markets in Pakistan, Iran, beyond. The province is also home to Ismaili Muslims, followers of the Aga Khan. Their practice differs from majority Sunni and minority Shia populations elsewhere in Afghanistan. Ismailism emphasizes education, gender equality relatively, interpretation of faith through present-day guidance. Communities here maintain schools, prioritize literacy, function with structures distinct from surrounding regions. Badakhshan's capital, Faizabad, is a small city and valley surrounded by mountains. Access is by rough road or air. The town functions as administrative center, market hub, connection point for scattered communities. But most of Badakhshan is villages. Small clusters of homes built from stone and mud, fields carved into hillsides, irrigation channels directing snowmelt. Life is agricultural, subsistence level, dependent on harvests that succeed or fail based on weather, water, work. The region has been affected by conflict, but remoteness provided some insulation. Fighting concentrated elsewhere, around cities, along highways, near borders. Badakhshan remained relatively peripheral, not untouched, but less damaged in provinces closer to centers of power. Travel west now, toward the Central Highlands. The Hazarajat, land of the Hazar people, occupies mountainous core of Afghanistan. Bamiyan sits here, a valley famous for what is no longer present. Two massive Buddha statues were carved into cliffs here 1,500 years ago. One stood 55 meters tall, the other 38 meters. They were carved directly from the sandstone cliff face, then covered in plaster and painted. Monks occupied caves surrounding the statues. Pilgrims traveled the Silk Road to see them. The caves themselves remain accessible. You can climb into them, walk through chambers where monks meditated, see niches carved for oil lamps, examine faded frescoes on walls. The interiors are cool even in summer, silent except for wind whistling through openings. Standing inside these caves, you understand how isolated devotion can become, how distant from the world enables focus impossible elsewhere. The statues survived centuries, survived Genghis Khan, survived wars and regime changes. Then in 2001, they were destroyed deliberately. Explosives reduced them to rubble and empty niches. The niches remain, voids in the cliff where Buddha stood. The absence is more powerful than many presences. You look at the empty spaces and see not just destruction of art, but attempt to erase history. Bamiyan Valley is beautiful despite loss. Fields stretch green in growing season. Poplars line irrigation channels. The Bandi Amir Lakes lie nearby, a series of 6 deep blue lakes separated by natural travertine dams. The water is intensely colored, almost unreal in its blue saturation. The lakes sit at nearly 3,000 meters elevation, surrounded by desert landscape, which makes their presence even more startling. The lakes form through mineral deposits accumulating over millennia, calcium carbonate precipitates from the water, building up walls that create natural dams. The process continues slowly, imperceptibly. The lakes are growing, shifting, evolving on geological timescales, while human dramas play out in moments. Bandi Amir was Afghanistan's first national park. Protecting it was aspirational during years of conflict. Now slowly, infrastructure returns. Visitors come, mostly domestic, Afghan families picnicking, men swimming, children playing. Tourism here is local phenomenon, not international yet. The Hazara people are ethnically distinct, believed to be descendants of Mongol armies, though mixed with local populations over centuries. They are predominantly Shia in a majority Sunni country. This has meant persecution, historically. Hazaras have been marginalized, targeted, excluded from power. The persecution has taken many forms over generations. Enslavement in the 19th century, forced displacement from fertile lands, systematic exclusion from government positions, violence during Civil War years, targeted attacks in recent decades. Yet the community has maintained cohesion, identity, determination to persist. But they have persisted. Communities in Hazarajat maintain identity. Language Hazaraji, a dialect of Persian, and social structures. Education is valued intensely. Literacy rates are higher than in many other regions. Hazara families prioritize schooling, especially for girls, more consistently than national averages reflect. Bamiyan town itself is small, dusty, functional. Streets are unpaved. Buildings are low-rise, simple. The bazaar sells necessities: food, tools, fabric, fuel. Goosed houses accommodate occasional visitors. Life proceeds at pace dictated by agriculture and seasons. Winter is harsh. Snow covers the valley. Roads close. Heating is minimal, wood and coal burned in stoves. Electricity is inconsistent. People layer clothing, stay inside, wait for spring. Now move north toward the plains. Mazar-i-Sharif is Afghanistan's 4th largest city, sitting in northern lowlands. The name means Tomb of the Saint, referring to the Blue Mosque, which allegedly houses the tomb of Ali, son-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad. The mosque is stunning, covered in blue tiles, its domes and minarets visible from distance. The tile work covering the mosque is extraordinary craftsmanship. Each tile was fired, glazed, fitted into patterns that flow across surfaces without interruption. Calligraphy proclaims verses from the Quran in flowing script. Geometric patterns interlock in mathematical precision. Floral motifs bloom in ceramics. The blue varies in shade, turquoise, cobalt, azure, creating depth and movement. At certain times of day, sunlight strikes the tiles and the entire structure seems luminous, as if lit from within. The mosque is pilgrimage site. Thousands visit, especially during Nowruz, Persian New Year, when celebrations center here. White doves inhabit the courtyard. Legend says any gray pigeon that lands here turns white within 40 days. Pilgrims feed the birds, pray, circumambulate the shrine. Mazar-i-Sharif has different energy than Kabul. It is more Central Asian, influenced by proximity to Uzbekistan. Uzbeks form a significant portion of population. Language shifts. Dari and Pashto are spoken, but Uzbek is common. The cuisine reflects this. More pilaf, more flatbreads, more yogurt-based dishes. The city has bazaars that sprawl, covered sections with shops selling carpets, jewelry, spices, electronics. Carpet traders display Turkmen and Uzbek rugs, deep reds and intricate patterns. Negotiation is expected. Tea is offered. Transactions are social processes. North of Mazar, the land flattens into steppe. This is different Afghanistan, not mountains but plains. Agriculture is possible on larger scale. Wheat fields extend. Cotton is grown. Melons are famous here, sweet large, consumed throughout country. The Amu Darya River forms the northern border with Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. It is wide, brown, slow-moving, historically called Oxus. Alexander the Great crossed it. It marked boundaries of empires for millennia. The river is lifeline. Irrigation depends on it. Fish are caught from it. Ferries once crossed it regularly, though border controls have tightened over decades. The river connects Afghanistan to Central Asia physically, but politics have made crossings difficult. Head west now toward Herat. This city sits near the Iranian border, in a valley that has been inhabited for thousands of years. Herat was center of Timurid Renaissance in the 15th century. Art, architecture, literature flourished. The Friday Mosque, Masjid Jami, dates to the 12th century but was renovated extensively under Timurid rule. The tile work is extraordinary, calligraphy, geometric patterns, floral designs covering surfaces in blues, greens, whites, golds. Herat feels Persian. The language is Dari, which is mutually intelligible with Iranian Persian. Cultural orientation is westward. Iranian television is watched. Trade flows toward Iran. The city's identity is distinct from Kabul's, from Kandahar's, from anywhere else in Afghanistan. The accent here differs from Kabul Dari. Vocabulary includes words not used elsewhere in Afghanistan. Poetry is appreciated deeply. Gatherings where verses are recited, discussed, analyzed. The literary tradition connects to broader Persian culture spanning Iran, Tajikistan, parts of Uzbekistan. The city's bazaars are organized by trade, metal workers in one section, cloth merchants in another, spice sellers clustered together. The specialization is practical. Customers know where to go. Craftsmen share knowledge. Apprenticeships are maintained. Herat is famous for glass blowing. Artisans heat glass over open flames, blow and shape it into vases, bowls, decorative objects. The glass is colored, deep blues, greens, ambers. Designs are traditional, passed through generations. Workshops are small, family-run, tucked into alleyways. The citadel, Kala Iktiruddin, sits on a mound that has been fortified for over 2,000 years. The current structure dates to various periods, rebuilt after destructions. It was recently restored, its massive walls and towers reconstructed. You can climb to the top and see the city spread below. Modern buildings mixed with older structures, minarets rising, mountains visible in the distance. Herat province extends beyond the city. Villages, the landscape. Saffron is cultivated here. Labor-intensive crop that requires hand harvesting of tiny stigmas from crocus flowers. Afghanistan is one of the world's largest saffron producers now, and much comes from Herat region. The saffron is high quality, commands good prices, provides income to farmers. Each saffron crocus produces only 3 stigmas. Harvest happens at dawn, when flowers are freshest. Workers move through fields quickly, plucking flowers, collecting them in baskets. Later, families sit together separating the valuable red stigmas from the rest of the flower. The work is meticulous, tedious, essential. Kilograms of flowers yield grams of saffron, but those grams are worth more than any other crop per weight. But the province has also been poppy-growing region. Opium production has been central to rural economy for decades. Farmers grew poppies because income exceeded any alternative crop. Eradication efforts have been inconsistent, often ineffective. The economics are simple. Poppies pay better, require less water, have guaranteed buyers. This is not moral failure. It is rational response to limited options. When legal crops cannot sustain families, illegal crops become survival strategy. South now to Kandahar. The city is Pashtun heartland. Pashto language dominates. Tribal structures are strongest here. Kandahar has been political center historically. Ahmad Shah Durrani, founder of modern Afghanistan, made it his capital in the 18th century. His mausoleum still stands in the city center, a domed structure covered in green tiles. Inside, his tomb is draped in embroidered cloth, surrounded by smaller tombs of family members and followers. Visitors come to pay respects, to pray, to acknowledge the founder of the modern state. The site connects present to past, legitimacy flowing through centuries. The city is conservative religiously and socially. Taliban movement originated in villages around Kandahar in the 1990s. Support was strongest here. The movement's leadership was predominantly Pashtun, rooted in southern provinces. Kandahar's bazaar is sprawling, chaotic, vibrant. Turbans are sold, stacks of fabric in various colors. Pashtun men wear them wrapped in styles that indicate region, tribe, status. Elders wear larger turbans. Young men wear smaller. The variations are legible to those who know the codes. Pomegranates are grown around Kandahar. The fruit is famous, sweet, juicy, deep red. They are exported, sold throughout Afghanistan and beyond. Orchards surround the city. Harvest is autumn. The fruit appears in markets, piled high, sold by weight. The city has been damaged extensively by decades of conflict. Buildings are scarred by bullets, marked by shrapnel. Reconstruction is ongoing but slow. Infrastructure is fragile. Electricity is unreliable. Water systems are inadequate. Life functions, but margins are thin. Security concerns are real. Kandahar has seen violence consistently. Checkpoints are frequent. Military presence is visible. Movement is restricted in areas. Foreigners are rare, often require security arrangements. Yet life continues. Shops open. Children attend schools. When schools are open and safe, markets operate. Weddings happen. Families gather. Normalcy is constructed daily despite conditions. To the east, toward Pakistan border, lies Nangarhar province. Jalalabad is the capital. sitting in a valley at much lower elevation than Kabul, only 600 meters above sea level. The climate is subtropical. Winters are mild. Summers are hot. Palm trees grow. Citrus orchards produce oranges and tangerines. The city feels different from anywhere else in Afghanistan. It is greener, warmer, more relaxed in atmosphere. Pashtun culture dominates, but proximity to Pakistan means influences flow across the border. The Khyber Pass is nearby, historic route through mountains connecting Afghanistan and Pakistan. Traders, armies, travelers have used it for thousands of years. The road is precarious, narrow, winding, climbing through rocky terrain. Trucks navigate it constantly, hauling goods both directions. Truck art is elaborate on these vehicles. Painted panels depicting landscapes, flowers, geometric patterns. Metal ornaments hanging from bumpers. Calligraphy declaring proverbs or prayers. Reflective tape outlining edges. Each truck is individualized, decorated by its owner or by specialized painters who work near border crossings. The trucks are mobile art galleries, functional sculptures moving through mountain passes. The border itself is complex. The Durand Line, drawn by British colonial authorities in 1893, splits Pashtun populations. Families have relatives on both sides. Movement across the border has historically been fluid, though controls have tightened. The line is not fully accepted by many Afghans, who consider it illegitimate division of Pashtun lands. Nangarhar has been poppy-growing region also. Opium cultivation was intensive here until recent efforts reduced it. But economics remain challenging. Alternative crops provide less income. Farmers struggle to sustain themselves through legal means alone. The province has also been site of significant violence. Proximity to Pakistan means militant groups move across border. Fighting was frequent. Civilian casualties were high. Displaced families fled toward cities or crossed borders entirely. Return now to Kabul. The capital sits in a valley at 1,800 meters elevation, surrounded by mountains. The city has grown exponentially. Population estimates vary, but several million people live here now. Growth has been chaotic. Infrastructure has not kept pace. Neighborhoods sprawl up hillsides. Buildings are unplanned, informal, densely packed. Kabul has been inhabited for over 3,000 years. Its position made it a trade hub, connecting routes between India, Persia, Central Asia. The city's history is layers of conquest, destruction, rebuilding. Every empire that passed through left marks. The old city centers around the Kabul River, mostly dry now, its water diverted or depleted. the river used to flow year-round. Now, only seasonal floods fill its channel. Climate change, population growth, mismanagement have drained it. The bazaars are intense sensory experiences. Chicken Street, Kochi Merg, was famous among travelers in the 1960s and 70s. Hippies on the overland trail bought carpets, lapis, antiques. The street still exists, shops still sell, but the clientele changed. Fewer foreigners, more locals. The goods remain: carpet stacked, jewelry displayed, old rifles sold as antiques. Kabul streets are congested. Traffic is aggressive, chaotic, somehow functional. Cars, trucks, taxis, motorcycles, bicycles, handcarts all compete for space. Honking is constant. Lanes are suggestions. Intersections are negotiations. Yet accidents are fewer than you'd expect. Drivers are skilled, attentive, accustomed to disorder. The city has suffered immensely. Soviet invasion, civil war, Taliban rule, international intervention. Each phase brought destruction. Buildings were shelled. Neighborhoods were leveled. Infrastructure was destroyed repeatedly. Yet Kabul has rebuilt repeatedly. Residents cleared rubble, repaired homes, reopened shops. Resilience is not abstract concept here. It is daily practice. The city is economically diverse. Wealth exists, new mansions built in secure neighborhoods, SUVs on streets, expensive restaurants. Poverty exists, families in makeshift shelters, children working instead of attending school, people without reliable access to food or clean water. The gap is stark. Inequality is visible. Social mobility is limited. Connections matter more than merit often. Corruption is endemic, expected, factored into every transaction with officials. Despite this, Kabul has energy. Young people pursue education. Universities operate. Cafes fill with students. Art is created. Paintings, films, music, though often underground, cautiously. The city wants to move forward, even when circumstances resist. Kabul's surrounding mountains are visible always. They frame the city, define its weather, limit its expansion. Snow covers peaks in winter. Hiking trails climb slopes. Families picnic on mountainsides during warm months. The mountains are not just backdrop, they are part of urban experience. Now consider Afghanistan's diversity ethnically and linguistically. Pashtun are the largest group, perhaps 40% of population, though numbers are estimates without reliable recent census. They inhabit the south and east primarily, extending into Pakistan. Pashtunwali tribal code governs social relations, emphasizing honor, hospitality, revenge. The code operates alongside, or sometimes instead of state law. The code is specific, detailed, binding. Melmastia, hospitality, require protecting and feeding guests, even enemies who seek sanctuary. Nanawatai asylum means accepting someone who requests protection. Badal, revenge, demands response to insults or injuries. These are not suggestions. They are obligations enforced through social pressure and personal honor. Tajiks are second largest group, concentrated in the north and west. They speak Dari. Their cultural orientation is Persian. Many are urban, educated, involved in commerce and government. Hazaras, as mentioned, are centrally located, Shia, historically marginalized. Uzbeks live in the north, speak Uzbek, maintain Central Asian cultural practices. Turkmen are in the northwest, near the Turkmen border. Imak, Baloch, Pahai, Nuristani, numerous smaller groups exist, each with distinct language, customs, identity. Afghanistan is not homogeneous. It is mosaic. National identity exists but competes with ethnic, tribal, regional identities that are often stronger. Language reflects this. Dari and Pashto are official languages, but Uzbek, Turkmen, Balochi, Pahai, and others are spoken regionally. Multilingualism is common in mixed areas. Language indicates origin, shapes access to power, creates or limits opportunities. Religion is predominantly Muslim, mostly Sunni, minority Shia, small numbers of Ismailis. Tiny Hindu and Sikh communities exist in cities, though many emigrated over recent decades. Before that, small Jewish communities existed, now almost entirely gone. Religious practice is woven into daily life. Prayer times structure the day. Friday prayers are communal. Fasting during Ramadan is observed widely. Eid celebrations mark the calendar. Religious scholars, mullahs, clerics, hold social authority, but practice varies. Urban areas are more diverse in interpretation. Rural areas are more conservative. Tribal customs sometimes override religious teachings. Sufism, mystical dimension of Islam, has followers, though sometimes viewed with suspicion by stricter interpretations. Afghanistan geography has always made unity difficult. The mountains do not facilitate communication. They obstruct it. Valleys develop independently. Languages diverge. Customs differ. Each region becomes its own world. Central government has rarely penetrated deeply into rural areas. Authority is local, village elders, tribal chiefs, religious leaders. These figures mediate disputes, make decisions, represent communities to outsiders. When central authority has tried to impose control without respecting local structures, resistance has been consistent. Whether resisting British, Soviets, or internal governments, rural Afghanistan has refused dictation. This is not chaos. It is order that operates locally, intensely, without need for distant authority. But it makes national governance nearly impossible. How do you administer a country where half the population is days away from any road, where local leaders hold more legitimacy than any official appointed from capital? Afghanistan has never resolved this question. Different regimes have tried different approaches. Some attempted modernization rapidly, building schools, emancipating women, imposing reforms. These efforts often provoke backlash, seen as foreign-imposed, contrary to tradition and Islam. Other regimes ruled through accommodation, respecting local autonomy, governing lightly, extracting taxes but avoiding interference. These lasted longer but achieved little transformation. The tension between change and continuity, between central and local, between modern and traditional. This tension has defined Afghanistan's political history. And now consider the physical realities that underlie everything. Afghanistan is water scarce. Rainfall is low. Rivers are fed by snowmelt and glaciers. When snow is insufficient, rivers diminish. When glaciers retreat, long-term water supply is threatened. Irrigation is ancient and essential. KRS systems, underground channels that transport water from aquifers to fields, have been used for thousands of years. They are marvels of engineering, dug by hand, maintained communally. Some extend for kilometers underground, preventing evaporation, providing reliable water. But KRS systems require maintenance. Decades of conflict meant neglect. Channels collapsed. Knowledge was lost as older generations died and younger ones fled or fought. Many KRS are non-functional now. Agriculture is overwhelmingly subsistence level. Families grow what they eat. Wheat, rice, vegetables, fruits. Livestock provide dairy, meat, wool. Markets are local. Surpluses are small. Droughts are catastrophic. The country has mineral resources: copper, iron, lithium, rare earths. Deposits are substantial, potentially worth billions. But extraction requires infrastructure, security, investment. None have been reliable. Some mining occurs, but it is a fraction of potential. Afghanistan remains one of the world's poorest countries. GDP per capita is among the lowest. Life expectancy is short. Infant mortality is high. Malnutrition is common. Access to healthcare is limited, especially outside cities. Yet these statistics, while accurate, do not capture lived experience fully. People find joy. Weddings are celebrated elaborately. Music is played despite restrictions. Children play in streets. Families share tea. Hospitality is extended to guests with generosity that seems impossible given poverty. There is dignity in daily life that numbers do not measure. Afghanistan's beauty is undeniable despite hardship. The mountains at dawn, light touching peaks, while valleys remain dark. The way snow contrasts against blue sky. The patterns of fields on hillsides, terraces carved by generations. The colors of bazaars, spices in heaps, fabrics in stacks, carpets layered. The architecture, too, domed roofs, arched doorways, carved wooden balconies, courtyard with gardens. Buildings that integrate into landscape, using local materials adapted to climate. The craft traditions, carpet weaving, metalwork, embroidery, pottery. Skills passed through families, refined over lifetimes. Objects made not for museums, but for use, yet beautiful nonetheless. The hospitality is real. Guests are honored. Strangers are fed. Tea is offered always. To refuse is to insult. Sharing what little exists is not charity. It is obligation, cultural bedrock. Afghan culture values honor intensely. Reputation matters more than wealth. Integrity is expected. Promises are binding. Betrayal is unforgivable. This creates social trust within communities, even as trust in institutions is absent. People rely on family, tribe, neighbors. These bonds are strong, reciprocal, enforced through social pressure. But the same values can perpetuate cycles of violence. Pashtunwali includes battle, revenge. Insults must be answered. Blood feuds can span generations. Honor killings occur. Women bear the burden of family honor, restricted to protect it. Afghanistan is not simple. It resists simplification. Attempting to understand it from outside is always partial. You can observe, document, listen, but the lived experience, the weight of history, the logic of survival, the calculations made daily, this remains inaccessible to visitors. What you can grasp is the physicality, the cold of mountain mornings, the heat of valley afternoons, the dryness of air that cracks lips and dries skin, the dust that coats everything, the taste of bread baked in clay ovens, the sweetness of tea with too much sugar, the exhaustion of altitude, the effort required to walk uphill at 3,000 meters. The way breath comes short, heart pounds, muscles tire quickly. The sound of calls to prayer echoing across cities 5 times daily. The silence of mountains broken only by wind. The noise of bazaars, voices bargaining, hammers striking metal, motorbikes revving. These sensory realities are Afghanistan as much as any history or politics. And they continue regardless of regime, regardless of conflict, regardless of international attention or abandonment. The mountains do not care who governs Kabul. The seasons proceed indifferent to politics. Farmers plant and harvest according to weather, not proclamations. Afghanistan persists not because of strength, but because it has no choice. Geography does not allow disappearance. The country will be here long after current dramas fade. It was here before empires arrived. It remained after they left. It will outlast whatever comes next. This is not optimism. It is geology. Thanks for watching. Until the next journey.